Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Island Origins Live. We are a fabulous Caribbean American magazine, lifestyle magazine on television, online, in print, and now on Facebook Live. And we're coming to you through Jamaicans.com today and through our own page at Island Origins. I'm CALIBE, your host, and y'all know my co-host, David Muir, Mr. Sexy Man. And we have an awesome show lined up for you this evening. We're talking about establishing your physical and financial health in 2018. And with us, we have the very accomplished Dr. Fidel Goldson and Mrs. Sandra Spence, who has been with us. Well, both of them have been with Island Origins now for quite a few years, from the times of the television show. And Sandra is also in the magazine. Goldson Spence has been in the magazine, so they're part of our family now, I think, right? So we're going to ask you to introduce yourselves, but let me first introduce, ladies first. I'll introduce Sandra Spence. So Sandra was born in Jamaica. She's the Vice President of Advertising and Public Relations at We Florida Financial Credit Union in Fort Lauderdale. She's been in financial services for over 2 decades and is coming from New York, where she worked as a media buyer with, can I say this, the world's largest advertising agency? Yes, with clients including Procter & Gamble and McNeil. Those are some fancy people. So Sandra, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at We Florida Financial and why you have so much faith in credit unions.
Sure. Well, I have been at We Florida Financial for over 20 years. And I really believe in the whole idea of a credit union. The credit union, as opposed to a bank, is really awesome. Credit unions are not for profit, unlike banks. And so the bottom line is that we will give you a better product, cheaper, and we won't fee you to death. And we are known to be a multi-generational organization. So we have grandparents who were original credit union members and now their children and their grandchildren who have banked with us for years.
That is fabulous. I'm fascinated by the concept of a not-for-profit financial institution. Sure. What does that mean?
It sounds like a contradiction, but it's really not. Yeah. Not-for-profit means that we really don't make super profits. We make some profits because we have to pay our rent and we have to pay our staff and we have to pay for our buildings, but most of the money that we make is put back to the customers, given back to the customers or the members, as we call them, in the form of lower rates on loans and higher rates on CDs and so forth. Right. So we're not for profit, we are member owned, member driven.
Very nice. Okay. All right. And Dr. Fidel Goldson. Dr. Fidel Goldson is a licensed physical, thank you for that information, is a licensed physical therapist and chiropractic physician and a son of Jamaicans. You weren't born there?
No, I was not.
Okay.
Born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Probably maybe 10 minutes from where we're sitting right now.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So you're all right.
I'm okay. I passed.
You're all right.
I get a ticket. I gotta go through. Okay. That's fine. I'll take it.
You're all right for the moment, right? So you're the head man in charge of Goldson Spine Rehabilitation Center with 4 locations throughout Broward and Dade counties, where you rehab patients suffering from pains all over their body, whether it's from genetics or auto injuries or sports, etc. And there's many people in the community who will know your father as well, your late father, who was a pillar of the community as far as we know. But talk about your approach to physical health and the holistic view as opposed to...
A holistic view, you have to take the person where they start. That means different things for different people. Ultimately, I think the push is most people don't want to use medication anymore. Or most people want to avoid the medication that they're taking already. And most people are noticing that just living healthy and naturally, we'll call it holistically, is the direction that we want to go. We call it a spiritual enlightenment, if you will, or a healthcare enlightenment that's going on. Most people that you talk to today are just not taking the direct advice or the initial advice from the medical paradigm. They're questioning it. It's with Google and everything else. Everything's being questioned. So holistic just feels natural, but kind of by definition, holistic means natural. As a chiropractic physician and a physical therapist, my approach has always been a mechanical approach. My dad, like you said, was a chiropractor. This year, we actually are very fortunate and blessed to be celebrating 25 years of business, and that's something he started. But it started with something very simple. If your nervous system controls our entire body, which is there's two parts of your nervous system, one that turns us on and one that shuts us off. From a mechanical standpoint, if there is a misalignment with the spine or there's pressure on the nerve caused by a muscle or a vertebrae or a bone of the spine being out of place, if we relieve that pressure, we can actually allow the body which heals itself, the body which autocorrects itself, to do just what it's meant to do by removing interference. And interference can come from a lot of different ways, a lot of different angles. Holistically, stress is a combatant of our holistic nature. Imbalance in our life is a combatant of our holistic nature. And when I say imbalance, are we exercising? Are we drinking enough water? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we taking care of ourselves and listening to our inner selves? Are we listening to our body? So there's a mechanical approach. We brought on other things as we go deeper into practice that interest us and that patients come to us, and like acupuncture, for instance, 5,000-year-old practice of healthcare, holistic, no medicine, but it's been swept under the rug, at least in this country. So that's one of the things we brought to our practice to try to make sure that we're functioning in a well-rounded, holistic approach.
Okay, so we have a lot to ask you both about. But I want to start off by letting our viewers know, and I'm hoping the numbers are already starting to pick up, because one of the new features that we've added to Island Origins Live is our giveaways, which we do toward the end of the show. So we have two fabulous gifts from our guests. From Sandra, Spence, and We Florida Financial, we have a $100 gift card. Now, let me start off with this. In order for you to win one of these prizes, pay attention now, you have to watch the show all the way through. We are going to, based on the answers that we're getting from our guests, we are going to ask you two questions. The winner, the person who gets the correct answer, and you're going to text in to win, so make sure your phone is charged. You're going to text in to win, make sure you're paying attention and taking notes on the very important stuff that you're hearing here. At the end of the show, we will ask you those questions, and we'll say maybe the 10th or the 15th person to get the correct answer when you text in will win whatever the prize is. So make sure you're paying attention and taking notes. The information will be up on the screen. Nikki, you have the information, right? The information will be up on the screen when the time arises. And we want to give a shout out to Nikki Lopez Creative, who's taking care of our social media. And our studio audience. Can we hear from our studio audience? All right. All right. So we have a $100 gift card. Paying attention, $100 gift card from We Florida Financial, and from Goldson Spine we have a chiropractic, a consultation, and Dr. G is going to tell you what that is.
Okay. For us, you come in, your total visit is comped, it will be free, which includes x-rays if you need it, an hour massage, a chiropractic adjustment, and electrical stimulation treatment.
Massage.
I think I'm going to step off set and text in
right.
myself.
I was thinking about that for the $100 gift card. I was like,
are we able to? Employees and guests are not allowed. So David, do you want to start off? Or
it's so funny that hearing all of what you were saying, you see I picked up my phone?
I see you.
And the reason I picked up my phone is two things. So I'm going to ask anyone who's watching to do what I'm doing, which is to share so that other people can get to learn about what we're doing today. And it was really, you prompted me by saying these fantastic gifts that are available to people who listen. So I wanted to make sure I invited as many people. So I'm just going through my phone and inviting people. Right. But I do have, I have some big questions to ask. Yeah, right. And I want to throw one out if you don't mind.
Sure. Do we want to start with your question though, or do we want to start with what?
All right, go.
No, I was not
jump straight into the end. No, David likes to jump to the end.
I want to jump to the end. I got some deep
so we're not going to start with the deep.
All right, let CALIBE set the stage. Set the stage.
David likes to jump into the deep.
I like the deep. I heard something.
By the way, your look gave it away. You look like
I saw it coming. Actually,
all right.
I saw it coming. So let's start with the basics, right?
Go for it.
These two areas of life, physical health and financial health. We talk about life balance, and I don't want to get into the touchy-feely things. I really want to understand when you are living like we all are. For me, I'm a workaholic.
Right.
Other people party too much and don't pay attention to their bills. Other people eat too much and don't exercise enough and don't go to the doctor. Guilty as charged as well. But you know, there becomes this imbalance in one area or another, and then you don't feel like a whole person.
Right.
So it's important to have a balance of all of these things. But let's start off with the individual sections, right? You talked about your holistic approach to physical health, and that can include, as far as I believe, exercise, diet, and then the medical things like your blood pressure and your heart and your cancer screenings and stuff like that. So talk about what a picture of good physical health looks like.
That's a good question, because again, that is going to vary from person to person, and especially if we look at the decade in which you're in. When I was, let's go back a decade, right? I would have patients come in who were in their 50s and 60s, and the first comment they would say is that it's age related. Me, 2 decades behind them, can't really relate to that. So I almost would, to a degree, would blow it off as, no, it's not your age, it's what you do as you age and you progress. Right. However, through my aging process now, I've come to realize that stiffness in the morning may come, and it may happen into your 40s, you know. So it's what we're doing in our decade. And did we grow up with a history of were you an athlete when you were a child? Did you play sports? Because what I find is, and let's take that age group between 30 years old and 60 years old, which is probably makes up the biggest bulk of the patients I see.
Careful, you're not blocking your face with your
that's
hands
just
while
put
you're
my hands
talking.
down. But in those particular age groups, what I find is stretching, not taking it, our body starts to get tight. Our body starts to get dehydrated. So one of the things I do with almost every patient that walks in the office is actually encourage to teach a level of stretching that they can maintain and stretch the patient themselves, because the tightness that we develop as we move into these decades, and now we're professionals and we're sitting at a desk for a long period of time, creates tightness. So for that particular person who's that in the 30s, they're a workaholic at this point. They're driving towards their goals in their profession. We're going to see an imbalance where we see spontaneous low back pain because of the amount of stress that they're dealing with. And so to balance that out, I would ask that person how much stretching, how much exercise, how much water you're drinking, which is far different than the retirement age group, which is they're not driving for their career. Now for them, the balance may be not sitting in front of ESPN all day, which is the truth. This is a true example, because a guy that was active all of his life now watches ESPN all day, and he's a patient, and our job for him is to encourage him to get up and move.
Right.
So that's why the individual assessment, and when we move into this holistic approach, it's really a very personal approach. It's not a blanket that everybody can fit under. It's meaning you and I sitting down and talking about what stresses you, what is your issue, what do you want to get better at, where do you know, and half the time the patient knows where their imbalance is coming from. It's just they need to articulate it.
Right. So you start with the holistic and the physical side of it.
Yes.
Where do you get into the nutritional side of it as well, and then the telling them to go make sure that they're getting their screenings and their colonoscopies and all of the other stuff?
Primarily when the patient walks in, and let's take out the patient population who's been injured in an accident or they had a slip and fall. Let's talk about Miss Jones, who woke up with severe neck pain, and she's walking in, and her concern is, I need to get back to work because I can't turn my head to the left or to the right, and I barely can drive because of this pain. Her primary goal is to get out of pain. So to jump to the diet or to even some other things is not as important to what started this situation. And actually getting down to the root of the problem, we many times find out your sitting posture, long periods of time, not taking time to stretch, not drinking enough water. The basic things are enough that most of us can walk around feeling okay. Chiropractic adjustments, obviously aligning your spine amongst all these different stresses. We get down to the basics, and that takes most of us out of pain at least. And then we can have the building blocks of nutrition. We can have the building blocks of, actually from a psychological standpoint, how balanced are you there? How well are you managing your stress? And then we look at the other things. But we really have to start off with the building block of what brought you in, and most of the time, that's discomfort and pain. And usually, that's I would like to catch you before that.
Let me jump in. I'm just so intrigued by what you're saying for this perspective. Is it that if we were not in some sort of accident, injury, whatever that took us out of our body's alignment, is it that you're saying that stress, that our thinking of ourselves can take us and make us unwell in that physical way?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. Think about when we were in our 20s and how carefree we were. Nothing was a bother. We just roll with everything. And then you have kids in your 30s or into your 40s and your priorities change and everything is that much more serious.
All of a sudden you have heart palpitation.
No, now you're losing sleep at night because of different stressors or someone on the job who's giving you a hard time. And before you say, forget this job, I don't need this job. But now all of a sudden I need this job because I have responsibilities and that comes with a level of stress. And it's bad because I'll touch on this. 2 parts of your nervous system, sympathetic, which turns us on, parasympathetic, turns us down. We live in a sympathetic overload society most of the time, which takes
especially if you're watching Facebook all day
long. If you're watching the news, forget that. If you're watching the state of America right now, you're in people. You know, so
right. But that question give us a great segue.
Absolutely. I actually have some big questions for Sandra. I love this.
Yeah, man.
Well, I love the whole concept of the non-profit financial institution on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Go with your segue and I'm going to follow it up with some questions.
Yeah, so I think that's a great segue because as we're talking about balance, when you're stressing about stuff, and I believe money is the number one thing that people stress about other than crazy children and love interest and whatever.
Yeah.
But relationships smash up over money. I don't know that money mash up. Who knows?
Yes, it does.
It does. But, you know, finances are such a big stressor. We have to figure out the balance of our finances or how to have a healthy financial life as well. So from your perspective, Sandra, what does that look like? And I'm going to ask you to talk about the same way that we might think about holistic health and the nutrition and the medical part of it. We want to talk about making sure that we have our immediate needs taken care of so that we have that rainy day fund. We want to talk about our long term, meaning our retirement and our children. And then, I don't know what else, and then the money that we play with, like the stuff that you buy Bitcoin with, or, you know, whatever.
Cryptocurrency.
That stuff. What is the good balance of things that you need to pay attention to have a good, healthy financial life?
Well, believe it or not, most folks don't know how much money they make. They have an idea, but they don't know where it goes.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. They have no idea where the money goes. They know they get something every 2 weeks, so before you know it, it's all gone. Very few people stop to get a picture of what they bring in and what they periodically spend.
Right.
So I think that's the first thing to do. Before you can balance or do anything, you gotta have a picture before you can fix the picture. You can move this there, move that there.
That's what we call a budget.
Yes.
Okay.
And a budget is nothing that's fancy and airy-fairy. It can be as simple as a piece of paper and you write what you make over here and what you spend over there. Or you can go to something more fancy. You have all kinds of apps out there now. One called Mint, which is very good, mint.com. You can get an app from that site and pretty much see where your money is going. So that's the first thing I would recommend.
But let me stop you.
Yes.
I know you're going into something that's important.
Yes.
But isn't it, and I'm speaking because I know myself, isn't it the case that we don't really want to be honest with ourselves about where we spend our money? You're telling people budget, and it's great for those people who want to be honest with themselves, but most people don't really want to know that they're wasting their money. Is there something else other than a firm budget that's a good tool to use to sort of organize your financial life? Is there something, some other thing? Yeah, share with us.
You have something that's called, and this was developed by Elizabeth Warren, who is a senator and a well-known name out there. Her and her daughter developed something called the 50-30-20. Yes, which adds up to 100, of course.
Yeah.
And she was saying that 50% of what you make should be spent on necessities. You know, your rent, your food, your whatever. 20%, the 30% should be on the debt that you owe,
Right.
and the 20% you just save.
Right.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. 20% is you just frivolous living.
Right.
The 30% is save. So 50, 30, 20. So if you don't want to be bothered, if you can conceptualize that and you don't want to put everything on paper, if you have that idea, so okay, I have 20%, I can go to the movies, I can buy my books at Amazon, I can go to Macy's, whatever. You can't deprive yourself as long as you have something saved and you have enough to pay your rent, your car note, whatever, treat yourself.
Right.
Treat yourself, and so it won't be too onerous, and you won't get bogged down, and you won't say, "Oh God, I can't be bothered."
So whether it's your shoe, if you're doing shoe boxes, you're going to mark
Yes.
one shoe box.
Yes, you can
Rent,
do
you're
that.
going to mark
Envelope.
another one.
Yes,
right.
yes, it
Or if
does
you're doing
have
your
to
bank
fancy.
accounts and you want to do it.
Correct.
And for clarity,
So, yes.
because there's always an emergency or
Yes.
something that comes up that's not in your plan. With the 50, 30, 20, the not in your plan stuff is from that 30%.
It's from the 30.
I just want to make sure I
Yes,
understood that.
it's from the 30.
So everybody
And-
check that out. That 30% is
Yes.
critical.
And ideally, you should have 1 year's worth of salary saved up for a rainy day. No, most people
Ideally.
don't have that.
Ideally.
That's kind of pie in the sky.
Yeah. So, but
yes.
I have a burning follow-up.
Yes.
All right. So I
We see a burden.
there are a lot of things going on
We see a
here.
burden.
That 30%, I really
Yes.
want us to focus on that just for the
Yes.
moment. Because since you are at a financial institution, I want to know what are the instruments that we must put our money in for that 30%. I know the bills have to pay, that's gone to the bills. And the 20% will go on to the club or wherever it's fun. But that 30%
Yes.
is critical. Where do we put that?
Okay.
How do we really manage it? Because in my experience, bank accounts, savings accounts typically paying 0.01 or 0.2%. So I want to know, at We Florida Financial, what do you have that is going to pay me more than 0.02% from
Well,
that
not just that
30%?
It's-
She's at We
it's
Florida Financial. I
nationwide,
want to
but
know
yes.
what I want to
No,
know
I know,
what
I
I can go to
know.
the
I know.
credit
Do you
union
have
and get.
Bitcoin at We Florida Financial?
But I tell you what, before we even go there,
Yeah.
you should have that 30% or whatever X number of dollars taken out before you even see it, touch
Okay.
it,
Ah.
smell it.
Right.
It's supposed to be
I feel
payroll
you.
deduction,
That's
taken
smart.
out. You don't
You shouldn't
see
even have
it.
access to it.
Yes,
Right.
you don't
I like
know
that.
it's there.
Very,
And
very,
if you get
very
a
smart.
raise, you can, bump up
Adjust the
that
numbers.
30%.
Okay.
Yes. Now,
Yes.
for the super conservative, and a lot of us island people are really super conservative.
Do you see that mostly?
Yes.
You
You got that shoe box.
Right.
Yes, yes, and there are a whole lot of psychological reasons for that. But okay, we can go into that later. But be that as it may, because the whole idea of gambling, you know. Okay, so that money is taken out before you even see it, touch it, feel it,
Right.
and then you can put it into a CD for the super conservative,
See, what is a CD?
okay, certificate of deposit, in which a certain a fund, you know, certain monies are kept for a certain time. It can be 1 year, it can be 2 years, 5 years.
And those returns are guaranteed, not investment style. They're
Guaranteed.
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 So it may be like 2%
Hell
or some
Yes.
number like that.
Yes.
Okay, excellent to know.
Yes.
And the term is usually what? CDs are what? 5 years, 3 years?
It goes from 9 months. We have a 9-month CD
Oh,
up
CD
to
for
5
9 months.
years.
Okay,
Yes.
I was thinking
And we
more like
also
5.
have an add-on CD. So you are not relegated to your first like $1,000 and then that's it. You can add on to it.
Oh,
You can
nice.
add 100 every time you get a paycheck, $50, whatever.
What's typically the
CDs.
minimums for the CDs?
The minimums for the CD is $500.
Cool.
So call Sandra for details. Because
Yeah.
I just got
I'll start.
a while ago, and my eyes were glazing.
No, man,
over.
no, man,
Okay,
CDs.
so CDs
That's
is
the
one
one.
thing. So that's
I'm
like
not
a
the
safe,
instrument.
that's
But
a
that's-
safe investment.
Yes, doesn't
Okay.
pay much.
Suppose
but
I want to be a
it's
high
safe.
roller.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, before I get to higher,
Before you
there's
get
some
to
other ones in between.
Yes.
All right. Actually, no. Well, we
Okay.
have CDs. We have a high yield investment, which is a little step below the CD. You're not locked in, but you get a little bit more than a regular savings. And if you want to go now a little riskier, then you can go to a mutual fund. Now, we don't sell it in the credit union, but we have a representative there, a licensed broker who will help you to invest those monies. So, And then the whole thing about investment
And you have
and
the 401k and you have the...
yes, but that's only if you work.
That comes through your employment.
Okay, that's not
Yes,
an
that's not
independent
the
thing
same.
that
No,
you...
no.
That's an IRA.
I was going to say, do you have
Or
an
an IRA?
IRA
Yes,
or
we
a Roth
also have
IRA?
a
Do you
Roth
have those?
IRA, yes,
Okay,
we
so
have-
you have
Roth
options that
IRA.
are
We have a
close.
number of-
Those are other retirement
Yes,
related.
but the whole idea is just that you don't see it, touch it, feel it.
Right.
It just goes.
Right.
And it builds up very fast before you know it.
So that means that it's compound interest. If it's building
It's
quickly,
compounded, yes.
compounded.
Yes,
Nice.
yes.
I like that.
All right. So there are the more conservative ways for you to save. There are the riskier, I guess, ways for you to save. Some of the other things that you have to pay attention to as well in your financial life are going to be things like insurance, which we don't like to talk about because you're trying to kill me. And then planning for like kids going to college and things like that. What are some of those kinds of concerns that we should be paying attention to?
For those of us who have college age or will be going to college, of course, Florida, I'm not giving them a free plug, but the Florida prepaid, somebody told me years ago, invest in the Florida prepaid, and I never regretted it. I have 2 children who went through Florida prepaid. It is awesome. It really is.
And you do that from their born.
From their bond, you can do it, yes. And it pays for, depending on what you want, it pays for tuition, or you can also pay for dorms, and so on. There are also what we call 529 plans, and the 529 plans are savings accounts that parents or grandparents can set up specifically for college, and only for college. They can set
Are
it
they
up.
tax-free?
They are, yes. The investments are all tax-free. Yeah,
And let me just
all
ask
your
about
earnings
that.
are
So
tax-free.
are CDs tax-free?
They are not tax-free.
So CDs are not
You pay
tax-free.
taxes on that,
You get
yes,
to pay taxes.
Yes. 529, you
And you
can
pay
only
tax
use...
only on the interest?
Yes.
All right, just wanted to be
Yes.
clear.
But this one is for sending
It's
specifically for
so-
sending
yes,
kids to
it's
school.
only used for college. You can use it
Man,
for
this is a lot of
books, you can
information.
use it for computers, dorms, any kind of college-related expenses. And if the kid decides, well, look, I'm not going to college, you can pass it on to that kid's sibling.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then the retire. Okay, so the same way we just talked about kids going to university.
Yes.
The thing that always gets me is that people believe that 2 years before retirement is when they should start thinking about saving for retirement. And if you've been living on $60,000 a year or $100,000 a year, you cannot save up enough to live another 30 years, which is what, like $3 million in the space of 2 years. So what's the importance of starting that retirement planning from early? And then the importance of insurance, especially when you have a family and children to pay attention.
All right, let's handle the retirement first. You get out of college at age 22, you should absolutely start planning for retirement at 22, your first job. Or if your first job is at 16, 18, whatever. You should absolutely, because the years go by before you know it. Before you know it, you're 30, 40, 50. And when you're in your 50s, it's kind of late to start. They do have catch-up provisions, but it's still pretty late. So you start in your 20s, and you should absolutely, if your company has a 401k, you should absolutely invest in that. No questions asked. Why? Because you get a company match, and that's known as free money. You will never ever get free money anyplace else.
Are we going to be giving people free money when our business starts to boom, David?
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't we give free money?
Right?
I love free money.
Make it rain. Okay,
Absolutely.
sorry.
So if your company matches 2%, 4%, 6%, you try and put that 2, 4, or 6% in because you get free money.
Not the
It'll
third, not the
match it.
30%.
No. That's a percentage of your
Off
salary.
Your salary.
Oh,
That is matched
Yes.
by
That
the
is matched by the
employer.
employer.
What's a
Okay.
typical percentage that you see that employees are using nowadays?
It's like pulling teeth to get young people to really put anything in there. Yes, they'll start off by 2 because they said, "Oh, I really need the money." You know, but some do. Some do put 4%. And if your question is, as a company, what match?
The employers
About 4
is the
yeah,
average percentage.
about 4. Yes,
Okay. We can do
yes.
that.
Progressive companies they go up to 6%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. And that was the
was it.
retirement,
The
and then the
401k, yes.
insure. Okay.
Yes.
So I used to do a thing named Primerica.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
confess.
yeah, okay.
I confess I did Primerica.
Yes.
But that company if they did nothing else, they instilled in me the understanding for the need for insurance, especially when you have children. Because I would hear my friends in the music industry talk about, oh yeah, I was flying off to France and then I saw the wing on the airplane catch fire, and I'm like, do you have insurance? You know, that's always my first question. So please talk about the importance of insurance, and then we can skip on to some other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have dependent children, you absolutely should have life insurance. Because it's a replacement for your income in the circumstances if and when you pass away before they become of age. So
You know I'm going to be a troublemaker.
For sure, go ahead.
you
So-
need life insurance.
No,
yes.
so listen, I
Yes.
hear you on life insurance, and
Yes.
I actually have life insurance. I have multiple forms of life insurance. But I don't agree that they're all as useful as CALIBE is pointing out. So there is term life, there is whole life, then there is, index universal life, the IULs of this, which is the hybrids of today. When you talk about insurance, just from your perspective, because I know there are differing perspectives, what is the life insurance that you think someone should have? Because I have my own strong opinion.
necessary.
That's
Right.
necessary.
Yeah.
In
What-
my opinion, and I'm not an insurance broker,
Right. No,
an
no, just-
but term to me, term.
So term.
It's the cheapest.
So
yes.
that is the
That's the
cheapest,
prime
and that's the
America.
primary.
It is a term. I
Wait,
had that too.
I'm not
advocating for
I'm not a fan
That's
of
what
term
it is.
insurance because it's like even though it's cheapest,
Yes.
it only gives you insurance if you die.
Yes.
It has no other benefit,
Yes.
and that's why I like some of the others.
Yes.
I won't get into my personal
No.
beliefs, but
No, but
there-
if you're
there are other
watching,
instruments for
yeah,
saving.
we're not gonna get too deep into that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
if you're watching, please go and talk to somebody, because there are, depending on your station in life, there are some very wealthy people who the universal and all that stuff works for,
Yes.
and there are other people who, the ethos that we learned was buy term and invest the difference. So you have your things separate and apart, and it's not one whole thing lumped together. So you can do your own research on that. You can call Sandra. She can direct you to who you talk to about those kind of details. But that's one of the other things that I'm sure happen in both of your industries, especially with Caribbean people. Like, I'm not going to go to the doctor about it, or I'm not going to go to the financial advisor about it. I'm going to ask my cousin, sisters, uncle, brother, nephew
No.
about what's the best investment.
I'm a partner drive. I'm gonna put my money in that. I want my partner to come. We know some of my money.
Which
No,
bush am I going
it's
to
not
boil
no
to
bush.
fix my knee?
My financial plan is my partner drive. Hello.
There you go. So what are some of the challenges that you've come across in educating the minority communities? Because I'm sure you deal with minority American communities as well as especially the Caribbean community, which both of you have a stronghold with, I'm sure. What are some of the challenges in educating these communities, and why are we afraid to talk about these things, health and finances?
Well, from a healthcare perspective, a lot of times patients are not showing up because they don't really want to hear bad news. That's one. Not understanding the financial impact of healthcare, and just quite frankly, we often feel that we're going to get better regardless, and we'll just let things go until we can't anymore. So prevention is not something that I really see is a lot of patients are not. Prevention is not key.
Right.
It's pretty much it's a problem and then react to the problem.
Right.
I don't necessarily know if there's a fear of talking about it. At least from a chiropractic and physical therapy standpoint, it's one of those things that you realize that you don't. Again, your balance is off. You don't take time for yourself unless you do. And then the reality comes to it. And I would love to hear your opinion on this when it comes to financial. And if there's similarities, it's like with the retirement, or when do you start saving up? Or you don't necessarily start preparing for retirement from a healthcare standpoint when you get into your 50s. This is something that should have probably been started in a preventative stage in your 30s, starting to exercise. But
we wait till we're in pain.
we wait till
before
we're
we
in
get
pain,
to,
or when there's a problem with the problem.
Hold on a second. Hang on. So are you suggesting, I want to make sure that I understand, are you suggesting that drinking tea don't fix all problems? Because I want to tell you that no matter where you have an ache or a pain, It's gas, and if you drink some tea, you're going to fix it.
When you started talking, because we're on Jamaicans.com, I can say this tonight, right? I don't know if you've all seen that little video where the guy goes, "Me will put warm water on it." You know, he's somebody telling me he needs to go into surgery, and he's like, "No, I'm not doing it. I will put a little warm water on it. It's just gas, so, you know, your appendix is burning. No, it's just gas, warm water will fix it."
Yeah.
So we have our bush remedies coming from the Caribbean,
which is not all bad. Which most of it is actually, because I think a lot of what we're seeing is, from a holistic standpoint, we're seeing a lot of natural supplement things that we call bush remedies, but now you're seeing them starting to show up on vitamin shop shelves. You're starting to see certain particular seeds or certain cleansers that are showing up that were well known in previous decades. Right. So it's not necessarily all bad. It's just, I think there again, it goes back to our balance. If I've had aching low back pain that's preventing me from even working or getting through a full day, and I've been putting cayenne pepper on there, which is something that people typically do, or they're rubbing the tea on there, or drinking the tea, and it's not working.
Tea, man, I'll fix you.
Right, that'll clear you out. But if it's not working, then now what am I going to stay in the position that I'm in, or am I going to do something about it? Am I going to go see a doctor, a chiropractor, or my primary care physician and actually do something and find out what's going on?
Okay.
I have a burning question. I have a couple of things, but since we're with Doc right now, I have to say this, Doc. I've been very lucky. I have not had no major ailment. I've had no surgery. I've not had any serious health issue.
You've been blessed.
I've been very blessed. Extremely, and I do not live healthy at all. So I know. I'm playing with fire all the time.
Got it.
So I gotta ask this, because for somebody like me that's just been so super lucky, I don't have any pain. There's no chance. I'm at least 40 pounds overweight. I'm probably 50 pounds overweight. For somebody like me, I should be having major back problem. You know, whatever you said, you talk about disc and spine and all these. I don't have any pain anywhere. I don't know why I'm so lucky. Apart from the fact that I know I should be weighing less, I should eat better, I should exercise more. How will I know the warning signs of, oh my gosh, you really need to do something drastic now? Because I'm just not even seeing it. I'm just too blessed. Help me to prevent myself from destruction.
Even I would probably say not use yourself as the isolated case study, because you are the exception. You are absolutely the exception. So I would probably take the family and friends around you, probably even in your age bracket,
everybody in a pure
that are dealing with I would take that as particular, almost as a warning sign, or even just a stimulus for you, just to start something, because at some point it's a numbers game. At some point, the numbers catch up to you.
You're gonna break down.
At some point.
Right.
So you are that patient. You are that person who I will not see until you have some issue that you need to come into the office with.
No, it's not, I'm not. It's not that I wouldn't go in, but I probably need somebody, a good friend, to say to me, David, go and take care of yourself.
No, you know what? When your friend tells you that, you're gonna be like, I'm too busy.
Your sleeping pattern.
I'm speaking from
your sleeping pattern. Is your sleeping pattern the same as just as stable as it's always been? You're just getting to sleep at pretty much relatively good time, sleeping throughout the night and getting up early and fresh?
The only change is that I have to go to the bathroom and pee.
Right.
But other than that, I sleep good. Let me tell you, my sleep is like unbelievable.
You sound like a balanced individual then, because those, like, you asked me a question, what's one of the first signs? If you start losing sleep, that's your body trying to tell you something. Yeah. And you'd be surprised how many times I hear from patients, I have a hard time getting to sleep, or staying asleep, or I'm waking up early in the morning. Yeah. That's typically one of the first signs.
Everybody that know me always vex. Let me say, as my head touches the pillow,
you're done.
Gone. Right. And I'm out for the night. The only thing, like I said, I have to go get up because blood somehow throughout the day I'm drinking too much.
Get smaller as you get older.
All right, not managing. All right,
so we're not diagnosing David anymore. Let's come back to Sandra. And what are some of the dopey stories, let's say, that become a challenge for Caribbean people, specifically coming into you and actually wanting, or coming into your office, because you don't necessarily deal with the financial stuff on a day-to-day basis, but coming into your office and saying, I need to get my financial.
Well, let's be honest. In our community, there is a great resistance to saving, but not really saving, but investing. We are savers.
Right.
We are big savers.
We do the shoebox and we do the
Yes.
savings account,
Yes.
but when it comes to
To
we do
investing.
all in when it becomes crazy and I can make back 20% in
Right.
2
Yes.
days.
Yes.
We're willing to do that, but the structured things.
Yeah, and I'm guilty as charged too because when I was growing up, I didn't know what a stock was, right? So some of it is lack of education and fear. A stock was what my father would put in his shop,
Right.
you know. As a Chinese Jamaican, we would stock, that's stock.
That's
Yeah, that was stock. So my parents did not have that knowledge. And when they came over to this country, they were so intent, as most parents of that generation are, to just make a living, to send us to school, to find a down payment for the house. That long-term investment, stocks, bonds is like a foreign concept. So they did not pass that information on to us, and I find that this is generally the case. That there's not that generational pass down as we see from folks who are born here.
Right.
So first of all, we don't have that knowledge. Then there's something I think in the back of people Caribbean heritage mind that it's playing a stock market is like gambling.
Yeah, right.
It's illicit, you know. I'd rather take my money and put it somewhere in a CD. It doesn't pay anything, but I know I can look at it and touch it because the stock. I don't understand it, and it's like gambling. That's like
Bitcoin's down.
Which is so strange to me because you'll take money and buy a piece of land in Texas that you've never seen.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Because that's a better
I
investment.
have lots of friends.
But I guess that's something you tangible. You can put your hands
Yes.
on. You can understand real estate a little bit better than up and down in the stock market, possibly.
And then the thing that boggles my mind is you don't go to someone who is educated. Like you feel like if you go to an investment, what do you call it, investment banker or financial planner, they're a con man and they're gonna rob you. But I'm gonna ask Dr. Goldson because he drives a nice car. You must know all the answers, right?
We have a few comments and things I want to bring in from the audience.
Yes.
But I want to encourage anyone or everyone, there's quite a few people watching right now, send us some questions because I'm going to address questions and I want to just...
I want to remind everyone as well, we have been talking for a little while. I hope you've been taking notes because there will be questions. And again, the people who get the correct answers and text them in at the end of the show will win. We have a $100 gift card and we have a consultation at Goldson Spine that's going to give you massage and therapy and adjustment and x-ray if you need it and all that wonderful stuff. So I hope you've been paying attention.
All right. There are really a lot of questions that need to be addressed.
Oh,
so
wow.
I skipped over a lot, but I'm going to say first, some of the comments, a lot of people are drinking tea as they're watching. So I found that to be quite humorous. Thanks to those people sharing that they're drinking tea now. Somebody's asking, what's the name of the doctor? They missed the beginning. Dr. Fidel Goldson, is that correct?
Yes.
Can we get his name up on the screen?
So that was a question, somebody who missed the beginning. Okay, I see that we're getting a lot of loves and likes while we're going on. Somebody's asking, save how? I know we addressed it, but if you can just say quickly, what are the ways to save that can help somebody who's still watching right now?
Sure. The best thing to do is to have payroll deduction at your company. Have $50, $20, $100, whatever you can afford, taken out of your paycheck and put into whether it's a credit union or a bank as a first step. Then once it's there, then you can decide what you want to do with it. Do you want to do a CD? Do you want to put it into a mutual fund? Do you want to go talk to a financial advisor? But make sure that you don't touch that money, that it's taken out automatically and put into...
There's a follow-up question. Okay, well, in studio a question first before follow-up.
Yes. What about if you're self-employed?
Okay.
Or freelancing, what's the best save?
So the question is, what if you're self-employed or a freelancer? What's the ways to save if you don't have that employee deduction?
Okay. If you're self-employed, then you have to be very disciplined and make sure it's on you. Unfortunately, it's on you to make sure that you take out X percentage and just put it away. You can even, if you have, say, you have a credit union account or a bank account, once you put your money into the credit union, and we can do that for you. So you put your entire
So you
paycheck
pay,
there.
yeah, whatever money
don't
you
have to
make, you
tell
put in
us,
your account,
we
and
will
they
do
auto
it
transfer
automatically.
it
Yes,
into
it will
savings
do
for
auto
you.
transfer.
And Nikki in the audience that's asking that question. I'm gonna have you after we're off air talk to us some more about that. But I do think that's a great question. I love that.
Yes, it's a good
answer.
question because a lot of us are self-employed.
Self-employed.
Yes.
Somebody here was asking, Lorna, thanks for the question. Are the deposits secure? I know we answered it before, but I don't think you had heard it. So, are the CDs
They are
secure?
absolutely secured.
They are
and
guaranteed
by the federal government.
Federal government.
Not all in. Our cash flows.
All right. Yes.
Absolutely, 100% guaranteed.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Another question I think is important. There are so many different ones here. Oh, this is a comment that I laugh. Lorna says, fear of doctors who don't know what they're doing. So that's not a slight at you because she's saying you're good, but they fear doctors who don't know what they're doing. Any comment on that? How did somebody become a doctor and not know what they're doing? Is that really the case, or
I typically find that it's the environment that if I get complaints, if a patient's coming to me and they're complaining about a different facility they've been at, it's typically has to do with customer service or bedside manner. Typically, if you've passed your boards and you have a license by the state,
you know the information.
You know the information well enough to practice. However, do you know the information well enough? Or are you relatable enough to actually sit down with a human being and really relate their condition to them in a way that they can understand and you come across? Because we're talking about health care. So the care part is just as important as the health part.
Me, teacher. All right. So this is going to be a little bit of a testimonial, unplanned testimonial. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to disagree with you because I have had to do chiropractic care for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. From I was maybe 24 years old. My father used to crash with me all the time in Jamaica, and so I think that led to spinal issues. But I will say, of the many chiropractors I've gone to, there's you and there's one other one that I will always testify for. Dr. Hockman in Miramar is a Jewish Cuban doctor, and Dr. Goldson that I go to. And I've gone to other doctors even inside of your practice who I don't love how they do the adjustment. Mm-hmm. You work with the thing you do when you do the arms up, right? Okay, all right. If you choose to go into his office, ask for the thing with the arms, right? But there are some doctors who do very well with a patient based on how you do for chiropractic in this case, how you do the movements and what have you. There are other ones who have given me an adjustment and I feel awful afterwards. When I finish an adjustment with Dr. Goldson, I literally feel like I'm standing up taller and feel like a fresher person. So I don't know if it's just bedside. I've loved some of the ones who have given me awful adjustments. I would never go back to them, but they were beautiful people. So I think it goes beyond that.
Okay, and I'm going to turn the corner a little bit and go to you, Sandra.
Yes, sir.
There's a question here. I know the answer, but I want your perspective.
Okay.
Can we trust the stock market?
Hell no, I cannot do that.
I'm asking
to do what?
Sandra Spence the question from the audience.
Well, if I could predict it, I would be the second Bill Gates. I mean, nobody can predict it. No matter what they say, nobody can predict it. You can trust it to the extent that you know it's going to go up, it's going to go down. Right. You cannot put 100% of your money in the stock market. You just can't.
You can't. So the answer is you cannot trust the stock market because it fluctuates, and it depends on where you are in that cycle that you may earn or not earn. So even then, go ahead.
But there is a place for it because whilst we're saying 30% should be savings, that doesn't mean 30% in a CD or in your 401k or whatever. It means you put some in the safe shoebox. You put some in the shoebox that says I'm going to do some long term, maybe 401k or whatever, and then you can do a little bit with that depending on your age.
Depending on the age,
you do a little bit with that more risky stuff, correct? Because it can give you great returns, and there are people who can look at patterns and things and advise you, but it's not for you to just throw a dart at a board and choose which one. So it's not for us to be afraid of the stock market. We need to just find people who are informed about it and talk to them before we dive head first because we like the color of this particular pair of socks or whatever.
Yes.
Right?
Every portfolio should have stocks.
Right.
Every
single
percentage would you portfolio say? Depends on your age. Right. Depends on your age and depends on your risk tolerance. But when you're young, you can tolerate a whole lot of risk because you have 40 years to go for
Right, and it's not as risky because over time,
Yes, over time
the
it will
stock market
self-correct.
does
Yes,
tend to
self-correct.
self-correct
Yes,
and
yes, it
trend
goes up, it
upwards
goes
in
down.
the end.
Yes.
So it's not as risky when you're younger. I don't want to get into too many other questions because we are at the 10-minute remaining mark.
Okay.
And I know we have some business to
Yes.
wrap up. Before we go any further, people who are watching, please hit the share button. Invite people to watch. We want people to see this not only now live, but tomorrow and next week. So if you share it and it says people can watch it whenever they want to. So please do be a good partner and share out there to your network.
Plus, remember that if you're the first person to text in the correct answer, you're not going to win. So we need 15 people ahead of you to text in. So
Right.
make sure you're telling people you text in the answer so that I can win the $100. So $100 and a consultation at Goldson.
And just out of curiosity, what's a consultation worth? If you were to put a dollar figure on a consultation,
$150.
Oh, I was guessing 250, but so that's actually even better than $100 cash because you get to force yourself to get the $150 value to get the great information. Like, I probably need to win that so I can go and find out all the problems I'm having because I have not
I don't know
found
if it's better
myself.
than $100 cash. You know what I mean? Like $100 cash is pretty good. But no, both of these are exceptional prizes. All right, so for the $100 cash.
Hold on. We're at price time.
Oh, we're there
I think
already?
we're gonna ask the question, and then let's say like the 8th person to text.
Okay,
in?
so fine. So everybody make note. If it's not up on the screen yet, the number to text to is 954-200-5110. Again, it's I think on the screen.
It's on the
I got the
screen.
thumbs up, but I like to hear myself talk. It's not. Let's go to the question.
All right, Mr. Sexy Man. Oh, you can't win. Sorry.
Oh,
all right.
man.
So hopefully you were watching earlier. Should I ask that early question? No. Let's ask one of the later questions so that the people who join us a little bit later can win a prize. All right. So for the $100 gift card, courtesy of We Florida Financial, Sandra replied to a question and said, the best way for you to save, the best practice for you to save, and I'm sure there are some people here who don't know the answer. The best way for you to save is, and I know this might be difficult. Is that too difficult?
I don't know if it's so difficult.
All right. So the best way for you to save, and we'll say the 7th person who gets the correct answer.
7th person with the
Seventh
correct
person.
answer. So start
Seventh
sending your
person.
answers so we can announce the winner on the air, not after we're gone off the live.
Yes. All right. So that's the question for Sandra. What is the easiest or the best way for you to save your money every month? And that question was asked by somebody in our studio audience. So she should know the answer. Do not text in the answer. Hopefully you are paying attention. You do not qualify. All right. And then, do we want to go straight to no.
No, I think we should
Let's
do
do
this.
that first.
Okay, go for
Yeah.
it.
Let's do that first, just in case we don't want to mix up the.
All right, we don't want to mix up the answers.
Right,
Fair enough. Okay,
right,
fair enough.
Okay, so in the meantime, while waiting for that answer, let's do some of the quick fire questions. If you could invite, Dr. Goldson, if you could invite any 3 people, alive or dead, to a dinner party, who would they be?
Barack Obama.
Amen.
Number 1.
Yes.
Dead or alive, I'll take Marcus Garvey.
All
Love
right.
to hear about that. And I have to invite my wife.
Aw.
He's
Dr.
such a
Thema, she was on with
sweetie.
us a few
My
weeks
wife.
ago. Shout out Dr. Thema.
What a
Okay, very
sweetheart.
cool. And then Sandra,
All right.
you don't have to say your husband just because he says it.
I think I have to.
Husband is laughing in the studio.
I have to. He's my ride home.
Good answer.
Plus, he's been doing the cooking too. So
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna say my husband,
Okay.
Gifford Spence in the audience,
Okay.
Barack Obama, and Gandhi.
Nice. Okay. David, Mr. Sexy Man.
But I get to invite people to dinner too?
course.
Oh my gosh. Wow, I didn't even think you were going to come to me.
coming to you.
People to dinner. I am going to say I really would love to eat dinner with Bob Marley. So I feel Bob would be special. Yeah, we wanna hear the studio is getting loud and rowdy over there, but we're not gonna take that. I think, unfortunately I'm gonna kind of go down the road of just people I would like to have met. So definitely after Bob, I do have to follow one of your answers because Marcus Garvey is just a must.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey, just to have that
Right.
space and that
Right.
that dialogue.
I think you move a different.
I think he pretty much even over Bob would just be just greatest person. And then I think the last person, since I'm picking three people, that I would actually choose somebody who's very much alive, since those two others were dead. I would love to actually talk with Oprah. I think she'd be a fabulous dinner guest. So that'd be my three. You're gonna pick three to leave, or you're gonna ask a question?
Nobody cares.
You're just gonna ask a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, ask a question.
I'm good. Nobody cares about me. All right. So, if you were running for office, real or made up, okay, what would the office be, and what would your slogan be? Sandra, you first.
Oh dear. I don't have a particular office in mind, but something in which I could make a significant difference.
Okay, that's very noble. of you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Chief Officer of Goodwill and doing good
Probably.
stuff. Okay.
all for one, one for all.
Okay. That's your slogan.
Yes.
All right. Doctor.
I think I would want to go something more on the local level, probably a commissioner somewhere, because I don't know politics very well, and I think that would probably be the best fit. And then you can actually help your local community, and I think my slogan would be, "Let's do it together."
Oh, this man, he's so sweet.
I know, right?
You asked me that too?
Sure, why not, Mr. Sexy Man?
All right. So I see some good answers coming in, by the way, on the text line here. If I was going to run for office, I would really want to run for something very high. My mom asked me from a child not to be a politician. Her dad was a politician, and so she said, "Don't ever be a politician." So if I was to break my mom's heart and go into politics, I would really need to run for something very high. I would actually run to be the Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Nice.
And if I am going to run to be the Prime Minister of Jamaica, I would, my slogan or my platform would be honesty.
Oh,
That's it.
that was sweet. I was thinking of. I thought you were gonna go with that. That was
Like,
nice.
I'm the chief sexy
man.
officer.
No, straight
That was
honesty.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you want to add transparency to the honesty, but honesty, I think covers it all. That would be my
Because
platform.
I would be the secretary of Mix Up and Blend. I don't know what my slogan would be, but it would be something along those lines. All right.
You won't remember tomorrow. Is your slogan.
Yeah, tell me about it tomorrow. All right. So, what accomplishment in your life, Mr. Sexy Man, I'm going to start with you this time.
All right.
What accomplishment in your life are you most proud of?
Wow. Most proud of in my life. I'm going to answer two things because I just don't want to break the two. The number one thing that I'm proud of, genuinely, is the relationship I have with my ex-wife. And that's a relationship that started long before we were married, through our many, many years of marriage, and all the way through till today. I think that that's just really the thing that I treasure the most in my entire life. And then secondarily, I do think it's really important, but I'm extremely proud of the book that I did. That I told my story on Jamaica through my pictures.
Pieces of Jamaica. It's up there. I don't know if the audience can see.
I don't think they can see it. It's kind of high up.
But it's right up there.
But yeah, those two things I think are, to me, the most important things
Congratulations.
that I have.
Okay, so before you guys get a little bit longer to think about this, because I want to get to the answers.
All
and
right.
ask the second
Well,
question.
I am going to say the answer I think is correct comes from Adrian Clark in the audience. And she says that and again, there are a bunch of answers, but she says auto deduction from your paycheck is the best way. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Adrian Clark, congratulations.
Adrian.
That's $100.
That's
You didn't take me to lunch, Adrian. You didn't take me to lunch.
No, me too. All
All right.
So that's Adrian. We're going to ask you now a question to win the $150 value consultation at any of the four
Any
Goldson
four
Spine
locations.
locations. And did you talk about what are the four locations?
No, we don't. North Lauderdale, Plantation, Pembroke Pines, and Aventura.
All right, so wherever you are in South
Right.
Florida, unless you're way down in the bush of Homestead or Kendall, you can easily get to a Goldson Spine office, right?
And listen, while we have 3 minutes left, share. Ask a question so we can get that winner on air.
So we're going to go with the fifth person to get the correct answer. And David talked about some issues that he was and was not having earlier. What is one of the first signs of physical imbalance that Dr. Goldson said to look out for?
Wow.
He said to David, if you start seeing this happening,
Wow.
then you're going to kind of know that you have a little bit of
That's
physical
a
imbalance.
good one. I
And
don't
this
know
was
that
David-
anybody don't get that.
This was later on in the show, so everybody should have been
Everybody
taking
was
notes.
on.
Tell
It
to
wasn't
take
early.
notes.
Yeah.
Tell it to take notes.
Fifth person.
Rewind or something.
Fifth person.
You can rewind
Correct
live.
answer.
Fifth person with the correct answer. All right, so we're going back to the quick fire questions. What accomplishment in your life are you most proud of, Dr. Goldson?
Right out of high school, I joined the Army Reserves. I went to boot camp, and I was promoted to platoon guy. So I was promoted, and I think the goal was that she was my platoon guy. Well, actually, drill sergeant. She wanted to fire me later, but I excelled in that leadership role, and actually was awarded the soldier of the cycle, basically, of that. So that was something very early in my life that I was very, very proud of, and it just built up my confidence at the time and made a big difference moving forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Miss Sandra.
I would say I'm proudest of my two daughters. They are really good human beings, independent, caring, socially conscious, and just good, salt of the earth people. And I'm just proud of them. So those are my two biggest accomplishments.
Fantastic. Here's where I'm going to do a little plug, because I'm very proud of my accomplishments in media and the arts. Many of you will know that I'm the executive producer of Taste the Islands, which did a marathon on Create TV this weekend. I hope some of you caught it. As well as the publisher of Island Origins magazine, which We Florida Financial is advertising, and we're still working on Goldson Spine to get them in there. We're working on it. It's not Dr. Golson's fault. I'm gonna blame Jason and FEMA. All right, but we're working on it.
No blaming anybody.
And we want to make sure that I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but the next issue of Island Origins has Wyclef Jean on the cover.
It's going to be out of focus.
It's probably going to be out of focus, but all right, I don't know. If you look on the website, okay, maybe you can see it here. I don't know. If you look at on the Facebook page at Island Origins, and I hope you're liking the Island Origins page, like Jamaicans.com as well, which is where we're streaming right now, but like the Island Origins page as well. You will see the cover here. We are still taking some last minute advertising spots, so if you're interested, please go ahead and reach out to us through the page. But that's what I'm proudest of. Okay, what two things? Do I want to do this one? All right.
I have the answer to the people who are texting. Someone is saying they're surprised that I never mentioned being a proud parent of my sons. And I'm going to say, contrary to what Sandra said, I never am proud of my children because they're independently who they are without me. I believe that I'm not responsible for who they are. I love them dearly, but I don't get proud of who they are. I think that's themselves. So that's the answer. But having said that, the person who sent that did have the correct answer, but they weren't the fifth person. So I believe the correct answer is lacking sleep is a way to know.
Yes.
And I have a lot of answers. Let me see if I can figure who is the fifth answer. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, all right. Well, I am going to say that, surprise, surprise, our winner is Yolande Marr. Yolande Marr, congratulations.
Congratulations, Yolande Marr. All right. I love how this is going.
So, well, we are actually at our goodbye time. So we have to wrap, unfortunately. Yes. Subscribe
Subscribe to us on Island Origins. If you love the magazine, you want to get your copy in the mail, go ahead and you can subscribe for the physical magazine at islandoriginsmag.com. We want you to check out GoldsonSpine.com and the Goldson Spine page online. I think they have 2 or 3. We Florida Financial is WeFloridaFinancial.com, as well as it's We Florida Financial on Facebook. Our page, of course, is Island Origins.
Island Origins.
All right, go ahead and like, share. Please join us next week. We are on every Tuesday evening at 7 to 8 p.m. We may cycle back and forth between Jamaicans. We'll figure it out, but stay tuned. The Jamaicans.com is our family. We are Island Origins, and we will see you all next week.
Next week.
Bye.